everybody. You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and we do it every Sunday right here on this channel. But when I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources Consulting, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relation work. I've been doing it for 25 years all over the state of Ohio and met some interesting people along the way. And I want to make your next move a strategic move. So this program gives me the opportunity to do just that. But before I do that, I want to shout out to the best producer in podcasts. I got DJ True Latif. How you doing in there?
I'm good. How you doing out there?
Yeah, everything's good, man. We're doing really well. We had a good show yesterday, and we got another one today. So I'm ready to get going. What do you got? You got anything you want to bring to the audience attention today, sir?
I'm just glad this weather is picking up, but it's inconsistent. Raining 1 minute, then hot as heck the next. When it levels out, we should be good, but I had a good 4th of July, though.
Yeah, it's really hot out there. Yesterday, it was roasting in here. And in this building, I'm going to say it again, this building, they did not fix my air conditioning. I've been on this podcast telling everybody they still haven't fixed the air seat in my office here. So I'm really pissed off at this building, but they need to do something. And what's strange is we got AC in the hallway outside of the building. I don't have AC in my office. It's just ridiculous. All right, so we're going to get started today because my guest got somewhere to go, and she just stopped in to say hello to us and drop some bombs with us before she leaves. I want to break it down to you who we have here today. In 2004, Anita founded the Northeast Ohio Recovery Association, NORA. Bradley has been in recovery for over 32 years and understands the importance of blending personal and professional knowledge and promoting the power and the possibility of recovery. In 2014, she expanded her experience on substance abuse to the administration of President Barack Obama. In 2016, Bradley was honored by the White House as a champion for change for the program she created within the substance abuse field. Before founding NORA in 2014, Bradley was the executive director of Compass House, located in Lorain, Ohio. There, she lent her skills, talent, and management styles to the country's largest residential treatment center. Bradley is a tremendous voice and advocate for women, faithfully demonstrating her advocacy and her critical links between treatment, recovery, and the rest of the world. Simply, she continues building recovery into diverse, global, effective systems, or Bridge hopes to offer culturally relevant customer choice, presented with dignity and respect to youth, adults, and families in communities throughout Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Anita Bradley to our program. Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. Finally, right?
Oh, finally got you in here. Anita, as I went through your resume and went through some of the stuff that really, you are the founder of Northeast Ohio Recovery Association. That's here in Cleveland, Ohio. And if you want, will you tell the people a little bit about what that organization does before we dig deep into some of the things? But you know what? We're going to back that up. Let's reverse that because I keep forgetting. We got to spend a little bit, a moment, just to ask you a question or two about where did you grow up? Are you from Cleveland? Are you a native Clevelander? Are you from here?
So I was born in Alabama, Mobile, but I claim Cleveland as my home because I've been here since I was 1 year old.
Oh, well, all right. So where you grew up at?
I went to Cleveland Heights.
Oh,
Cleveland
Heights
High School from first, second grade all the way through.
Really?
And went on to Kent. Yep.
And then you went to Kent?
Kent State.
Okay. You
graduated from Kent, ran track at Kent. Kent State on a partial scholarship. Had a good time there. Too good of a time. So that's how I ended up in recovery.
We gonna get to that. So you was an athlete in school? Really? At Cleveland Heights, you ran track
and volleyball, but track was my favorite. Yeah, track.
And so you got a partial scholarship. Meant you had to be all right.
A little slow, a little fast.
A little fast. What did you run?
100, 200, and the two relays, 4x1, 4x2, and occasionally the 4x4.
Really?
For strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was you breaking any records over there?
I did pretty good. I'm
gonna have to look you up. My kids graduated from Heights. Anthony graduated from Heights. Okay. We're gonna have to look on the wall and see if you up there. Yeah, see if your name on something in there. Okay.
Yeah. I forgot what year it was, but they put me in the Hall of Fame, inducted me into the Hall of Fame. About what? Let me see. This is maybe 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That's a good thing. We be proud of our little accomplishments
we do
here in
Cleveland
Cleveland.
Heights.
Yeah, man, ain't nothing to be wrong.
My
So,
school.
so from there you went to Kent. So you got a partial scholarship. You went to Kent
and criminal justice major. Was going to go to law school, and then had a tragedy with my dad and uncle. Similar to what I just went through, losing two at one time, or close period. This time was close period, but that time it was both my uncle and dad. And so I was start partying too much.
Okay.
And then by the time I got clean a couple years later, that desire to go into criminal justice was different.
Okay.
And so I ended up working at a treatment center. And so from there, like, just kind of kept growing and realized that this was a good place for me to be. It was more ministry related as opposed to being on inside the jails and working on keeping people with low sentences or less sentences. Now I can work with them on preventing them from getting sentenced if they get themselves together, or helping them when they come home to get themselves back on track so that they can be productive and go to work and pay taxes and support us and stay out of the way in terms of all the things that we hear in relations to crime.
So let's go back to when you said you partied a little too much and that what got you on the road. And I just read here that you say you've been sober for over 32 years, so 33 now. So what was going on back then that some of my listeners and people who listen, let's say, that kind of flipped you there? You say you had some tragedies in your life, and then what was the moment that turned you around?
Yeah, so I know I crossed the line with the stressor of not internalizing the death of my dad.
Tried to just act like it didn't happen.
Yeah, just tried to numb myself just a couple years. Let me just not responsible at all. And then one day I did. I looked up and was like, okay, God, I know my dad doesn't want me to continue on this path. He wants me to live. And I just talked to God about it. If you breathe life into me, I will breathe life into others. And that's what I'm doing.
So I want to stay on it just a little bit with you with that, because I think treatment and recovery is very important, and everybody in their family, and I have family members and others who do that, and I don't want and I know you take it very serious, and I don't want them to think, oh yeah, she just said, oh, one day I just changed my mind, and I just said God spoke to me and I get it.
Oh no.
So
no, I had to go through a lot. I'm talking rock bottom, like they talk about rock bottom, and it was crack addiction. Crack. I
was going to ask you, what was your drug of choice?
Crack, yeah.
It was crack?
And I told someone yesterday, like, crack was horrible on the African American community.
That's correct.
It was horrible on our community, and we didn't, and I can say this because the chief of police, we did a forum, and we talked about hindsight in terms of how we treated cocaine users versus how we're treating opiate users. And he apologized to the community, saying we just didn't know what to do.
Right.
He's now deceased, but I appreciated him saying that, because we weren't able to move our agenda forward in terms of trying to help African Americans, or anyone for that matter, that are using opiates. And so we could get stuck on how things were and what people did versus what they're doing now. But the key is that while we have the attention of leaders, we need to be educating people that addiction is a brain disease, and that until we can take that, basically the person from being hijacked mentally from the substance away and get them on the other side, we're going to struggle with them going back and forth, because it's just that powerful. And we need to be mindful that our men, African American men, are dying at alarming rates. There was a friend of mine funeral today, I think was related to committed suicide. I don't know what they're putting in this stuff, but it's different. It's a different animal, and we just have to be proactive and take this real serious, like you said, not gloss over one day, because it's a very tough and difficult battle to overcome.
So how long did you battle with your addiction before you got sober?
4 years.
You was blessed.
I was blessed.
Yeah, that's really a short.
I really
compared
was.
to a lot of people I know. Yes,
I really was.
Yeah.
I thank God for that. That
Yes.
I was relatively young and have been able to stay away for a while.
And you were able to get you opportunity to work in treatment, you saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they called me in to be. I started as a secretary.
Really?
Started as a secretary, answering the phones. You learn a lot answering the phones. People don't understand. I told my staff yesterday, no matter what role we in this company, every role is important because we need to come together for the people that's dependent upon us.
Yes, exactly. So how long you did that before? How long was you working in recovery before you take that other step? So I'm gonna go. I see you went to a.
It just kept going up.
Really?
Yeah, I started from the bottom. Look, wine open in every shoe that you can wear as it relates to this thing. And I'm just saying, it's the truth. So
that's amazing, though.
Yes.
That's really amazing.
It's been a long haul.
So then you got the job as you was over at Compass, right?
What
was Compass?
Compass was in Lorraine. I went it went secretary to what we call behavioral health techs in a treatment center, third shift monitoring the ladies. I was clean then and started taking classes for my master's degree. And so,
okay. Yeah. So you did went back to education.
For the master's. Okay. And then from there, when I graduated undergrad, then became the counselor and just kept moving up. Then I worked for the county, the Alcohol and Drug Board.
Okay.
So I was responsible for 23 agencies like a NORA, providing technical assistance to them. And then finally, Compass. So I went to Compass and stayed out there. I was out there 4 years.
Okay.
Cleaned up an organization that was struggling a little bit, was a recovery community, and landed our first federal grant.
Excellent.
And Compass had the treatment center and the foundation, and I was able to negotiate with them the grant and start NORA over with those dollars because it was a regional project, not just Lorraine. It was Cleveland, Lorraine, and Summit County.
So NORA was already existing?
No.
You were saying using that as an example?
Yeah.
Or agencies like NORA?
Yes.
Okay.
So when the funding came in, we pivoted out. It's like they call it facilitation.
Okay.
And we were able to facilitate out into our own entity. And I was 6 of us.
Okay.
Started with a little bit of money, $250 a year, 6 people, and just been.
And that's how you got started?
That's how I got started.
Really? And when I met you was in East Cleveland.
Oh, that's where it started. That's when it started. That building not even there anymore.
The building's not even there no more. And you want to know something? Years later, and if she's watching this program.
Who is it?
The owner of that building at that time. I'll tell you after we get off because we adding this thing, but it was wasn't it Angela Bennett? Wasn't it?
Oh, you talking about? Okay, that was the second building.
That was the second building.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's the one I met you at.
We definitely need to talk.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was until years and years later, as things
her
progressed.
Aunt owned that building.
Her aunt owned the building.
Her aunt owned the building. She was supposed to be taking care of it.
Exactly. And matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, it was not till maybe last year until all the pieces came together. I said, you know what? That's who Anita was talking about that whole doggone time, and she was supposed to do exactly what you said. Exactly. But we'll take that out right there. But yes, I finally was like, that's who that girl was that whole time. And that's who did you like that. So we do know who she is. But okay, let's get back in there. So you were in that building, and that's when I first met you. And it seemed like you was doing pretty good there. Now, that was when you were actually getting NORA off the ground, and you were doing
women treatment. And women with their children. It was we had our first few residential clients there. And the families. One of the ladies is still sober today. It's so cool to see. But yeah, we started there. We also was working with the adolescents in East Cleveland, which we still do that today, like prevention programs, trying to incorporate resiliency skills into the children.
All right, so now we're there. We know that's what you do at NORA. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to give our audience the plug. Okay, now what is NORA? What it stands for? What you guys there? And we understand why you did it and your passion behind it. So now, really tell us, what is NORA?
It depends on what you mean. I can tell you my version. Northern Ohio Recovery Association. We're a recovery community organization. So that means people with 2 years or more of recovery. I target them to provide services to other individuals in the community because we can utilize their academic excellence along with their personal experience. I believe that the two together makes for a phenomenal combination that allows us to help individuals that have certain backgrounds that are disenfranchised and oppressed. And I believe that our culture and mission is very strategic and intentional, and that everyone is not comfortable going to corporate treatment centers, that we need people that can meet people where they are in terms of their recovery, so that they can feel comfortable and not discriminated against, and want to feel welcome coming into our centers. Like just things that we do within our culture in terms of making sure people are fed, making sure they have clothes, just
Correct.
Maslow's hierarchy of need, meeting those basic needs, and then moving into how can I help you into your recovery? Because sometimes recovery, we want it to come first, but if you have someone with a little child and that baby's hungry and crying, they're not going to be interested in talking about recovery till we deal with the basic milk. I look at things like that, like just trying to remember what it was like at my worst, and what was some of the things that I was seeing in the streets, really in the streets. What was I seeing out there that individuals were struggling with, and trying to go back and make sure that I can make that burden a little easier for them.
That's good. That's good. And where are some of the programs you guys offer there?
So we do a lot of different things.
I know y'all do a whole lot.
Yeah, we residential.
I rode by there one day. I saw a truck out there
What
putting
was it, food?
Yeah. Y'all doing everything over there.
Listen, food is what they call it, food insecurity nowadays, since COVID and everything. And now I think with TANF, people are not getting as much benefits, SNAP benefits, as they used to. We partner with the food bank. My beloved Kathy Davis was notorious for going live and letting everybody know where we are. So now the Browns came in and gave away 40,000 pounds of food during COVID, and then they came back and fed 150 families last year during Thanksgiving. And that's important to us. So we do that. We do prevention programs where people like Anthony go into the schools. He manages that, but there's a group of people. We go into Shaw, Glenville. We're working with Ted Gins, youth, the cheerleaders.
And what they do when they go into the schools?
So there's specific evidence-based curriculums that we teach around just self-esteem, learning how to say no, bullying, just the sex abstinence, just a bunch of different things. So that's an
actual class they go to?
These are different trainings, workshops, and classes that we do. Etiquette about how to set the table.
Yes.
So we brought some young ladies, might have been some boys too, down to the center to show them when you go out to eat where your fork is, where your knife. Basic skills that they might have missed, but they're going to need to make it in this world, right?
And you also still do and this for men and women. It's not just.
Yeah, we have a sober house.
Okay.
And
you have a few
for
houses.
Men. We have a sober house for men.
Okay.
So we take 8 men. We got a house for women.
And what's a sober house? When you say a sober house, what's a sober house?
So sober house is that they have gone through primary treatment, the beginning stages of treatment, completed that, and or still, but need somewhere sober to live where they don't have to be worried about someone using in the next room that's going to trigger them. So the sober house provides that safe environment.
How long they get to stay there?
They can, listen, I don't believe in putting periods on people's recovery because everybody's different. We used to do that. We used to do acute treatment. I just feel that some of us, I use 4 years, but what about somebody that used 30 years? They're going to need something different from me. And so I don't want to tell people that your term is limited because that day that I discharge you in advance because of a program rule and some rigid structure might be the day that some accident happens and stuff like that. So,
and it could be the trigger.
Yes. I just read that online.
That
about
could be the actual
this
trigger.
Center that discharged someone because they were using. And that's, to me, that's awful because we're the professionals.
Right.
And we should be able to, if nothing else, offer them another treatment center or something along those lines, but not to dump them off at a hotel. Everybody's an adult, but that it didn't sound good. But the mom came back and created some legislation to make sure that there's some oversight now in the state where that I'm talking about. I think it was North Carolina and Florida.
So that's the men's house where they can, and you have a few more houses, right?
Yeah, so we have the women's house for recovery, same premise after treatment. But we also have a primary program, which is in Maple Heights, where the moms and children can recover together. That's primary. They can stay there, like I would say typical 90 days to 120 days, maybe a little longer, sometimes a little less. And then from the primary care to the recovery house to their own. So then that brings me to our new project of building these 8 houses down the street because we want families that, and men that are trying to put their families back together to have a safe place to recover, but also be able to, within walking distance to a center where if they feel a little vulnerable, they can come and talk to somebody.
I know one of the things I heard you say before is that you believe that recovery should be, you like the home-based type of recovery versus the institutional. And what's your theory on that?
Yeah, so the theory is that so when you leave a center, you're going to go home, right? So why not model that home type of feeling in a recovery place, in a recovery center? I think people get lost in institutions and they feel institutionalized, right? And that it's just feels more normalized in terms of recovery, and instead of big isolated halls like a prison institution or a mental health hospital institution, home setting where you're practicing cooking and putting up the dishes and taking out the trash. This is normal life. So practice that while you're learning how to stay sober at the same time, as opposed to the total control. Not saying that those places aren't needed, because they are. They're needed.
Those needed, but that a lot of that is responsibility, which is another form of getting yourself back into what normalcy is, as it relates to that. So no, you're right. Taking out the garbage, cleaning up the dishes, and living with other people in that manner.
We recover in the community.
That's correct.
And so the transition from a center sometimes to home, which is partly why NORA was created, to have the recovery coaches to follow them into the community, because that's where you pick up at. You know what I mean? That's where you're vulnerable.
Right.
So what can we do in that community setting to help people feel more normal and practice those skills that they learn in the recovery homes and treatment program?
So what's going on in our community now, and we was talking a little bit about that with all the fentanyl and everything. They putting fentanyl in the crack. I don't want to say the crack no more, but even though there are some people still doing that.
No, they are.
Yeah, but it's going in all of the
marijuana
and it's going like in everything that everybody's doing. Pills.
With it. Yes.
So do you see the number of addiction and that being younger, older, or what is the trend you see that's going on in our community with this thing?
So I think the youth really are using pills. They're starting with pills where they're able to get them from medicine cabinets or on the streets, wherever they're getting them from. And the problem with it is, one, they shouldn't be taking them, especially if they're not prescribed, right, for a medical issue, real medical issue. But people are putting things in the pills. And people, I call them these backyard chemists that are somewhere cooking up this stuff and don't have a clue. They don't care. They don't care what they're giving people, all for the sake of $1, and it's not good. It's not good. It's not cool.
I was telling somebody, I was like, man, you got to be really like on it to just walk up to somebody on the street today and buy.
I'm so glad.
Can you imagine?
No.
Even back in that life, and because again, I grew up in the streets and everything along with that, man. And I'm telling you, just think about that.
It's different. So when I got clean, there wasn't that type of. There was heroin,
right?
But I didn't do that. Right. But still, when I had cocaine, I didn't have to run the risk. That was bad enough doing cocaine. But now you don't know. Right. You think you have opiate mixed in, but you got fentanyl. You know that that's a grain of salt the size can take out an elephant. So we putting this in our body. Then you've got this, I forgot what it's called. It's like a fake fentanyl. That's what's really killing people. And I don't know, like they're just getting it from all over, but people really need to be aware. So you asked about what our programs, we're giving out drug test kits, so you can test your drug to see what's in it. If you God forbid, if you gonna use something, test it. And then Narcan to families. And one of the guys said he gave out some Narcan at, I forgot what it's called, one of the events they have around here in Cleveland, and the lady started crying, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And she said, if I had this a week ago, my son might be alive. Stuff like that. This is real. This is what we deal with here. And so that's real out on the streets. Going out. We went out last night to Terrence, the apartment that burned down. So they placed the families over at Case Western Reserve. We went over there to take blankets and stuff through our RV van. So we got an RV van. Our van go out at 5 o'clock at night to 1 in the morning.
Really?
Why not?
Really?
Why not?
And it's just go around looking for people who need help or whatnot.
Everybody don't use 9 to 5, right?
That's correct.
They're using from 5, and then when they go to the bars. So I wanted to do something creative to stop the massive accidental overdoses, right? And so they're going to the bars, and I'm just telling you some of the things I'm hearing. I'm not going with them.
No, I understand.
I need to go sometimes.
I understand.
But they said that the barmaids are saying they need the Narcan because they see people go to the bathroom and come back and they're nodding out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
They know what's going on.
They know what's going on. That's what we dealing with here. So I don't mind, you know me, I don't mind rolling up my sleeves a little bit because, like I said, I understand it. I haven't forgot what it was like, but also just trying to be intentional about the approaches that we're doing and administering to our community members and going in places and creating solution-driven opportunities for people to recover.
So one of the things I admire about you and some of the things you said was that we had a discussion, and I'm really on this thing about trying to help African American males and do better and the things they're going through. And we had this discussion, and you were talking about how there are programs out here, but not enough to try to help African American men in recovery and mental health and that kind of thing. Want to elaborate a little bit on that?
So I'm sorry, because you know what? When you said that, I blanked out because I thought about a situation where absolutely programs are needed for African American males specific because our incarceration rates are high. So you've got people that have been incarcerated for minor drug offenses or selling so that they could get money or whatever, and then they're coming home and they need a place to be. I think society needs to be more sensitive to our African American males because we ostracize them with the employment pieces where we're asking about the felonies, but we're over incarcerating them for low offenses where other people aren't being incarcerated for the same type of crimes and they're certainly not sentenced in the same manner. You know what I mean? And so I feel that as a society we need to support our males in terms of bringing them back into our families and into our communities. What do we need to do that? What are some, you know what I mean? So for me, it's creating this house where he can bring his wife and children and be that role model for his son while he gets himself together. Family struggle. You got families that struggle, but let's demonstrate the resiliency in the fathers. But yeah, I think that about the solution. So I'm creating opportunities for our men to recover. And I'm real big on this about trying not to close the door in anyone's face at any given time. So we're opening up our hours of service so that we can get people into to the centers. Of course, we'll take anybody because I've seen us go from when East Cleveland, we were African American driven, and then we ended up being Caucasian because that's who was using the opiates, and now it's a blend. We have both. But I have an affinity to my people, right? And I think it's my duty to help them and help anyone for that matter. But especially if you see a deficit in something, then we, NORA, we want to be that party that tries to introduce solutions for those deficits, and that's what we do.
So let me ask you this then, and we're going to be wrapping this up, is if I was just the average person that's out there watching this show, because millions of my viewers out there that watch us every week here.
Good for you.
If one of these viewers out here is watching this program and they need some help for one of their family members or themselves, can they just walk into NORA and just ask for help? Or
absolutely.
See your van, it's just pull up?
Absolutely. To 216-391-NORA. They can call because someone's going to answer the phone at any hour. We 24/7. So
really?
If the van goes out, right now we're going out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The only day we're not out is Sunday night, right? 1 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, we come in, but somebody's still on the telephone.
Okay.
So the least you're going to get is that window of time where we're going to get that information from you and somebody's going to follow up. Or if you call during one of those hours and the crisis van out, we're going to send them to you. If it's a family member and the family member is ready, we'll go pick that family member up, do the screening right there on the spot. If they're not ready, we really want the family member and the loved one to make the call because we got to go through several parties, get your name and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, so if I was a family member and I said I really wanted to get some help today,
Good call.
I can call you up and someone will come out, talk to us, and you guys will work to try to find treatment.
Absolutely. If we don't have a bed or outpatient, with outpatient slots you can get in, but if we don't have a bed available, we're going to call a partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna call a
Excellent.
partner.
I got a couple of questions I want to ask you and see if you can answer these, and we'll get you up out of here.
Okay.
Okay. If you could trade places with someone for a day, who you think it would be?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough question. Really? For a day?
If one day you say, you know what, I could trade places with this person for a day, who would I like to trade places with?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, I can describe the person. I'm not sure because of how policy works. I want to say the governor right now.
Really?
I want to say the governor.
And it could be right now. They ain't gonna hold you to this. It might be somebody next week or now.
Just right now.
this
There's
moment,
some policy issues that I have concern with, and so I'd like to be able to influence from
For
that lane.
that one
just
day,
for that day.
you can do something. You can do something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's a good out. So yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure. What you mean?
What's the thing Anita likes to do? This is my guilty pleasure.
This is my okay.
It could be chicken wings.
Oh no! I'll tell you exactly what it is. Traveling, hitting somebody plane and somebody's
Really?
beach. Oh yeah.
You saying somebody's beach?
Somebody's beach. Oh yeah, that's it.
What's the best compliment somebody ever gave you?
Oh my gosh. I think the best one is, paraphrasing a little bit, they said something about, you know what, Anita, you have come a long way in your life. They said, but one thing about you, you haven't changed the core of who you are. That made me feel good. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good compliment.
It is. I
That's a
think
great
some people think, oh, you're doing so good or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still myself, and my value is like my people.
That's
you
a
know?
great.
I appreciated that.
Something you wish you was better at.
Ooh, you want to know too? Probably attention to detail. Yeah,
I think that's gonna be the most answer I will get from everybody.
Man, try to follow up with him. I'll be like, look, you grown, right? You're an adult.
And I think and it comes with, as we get older, all the older folks coming in, man, I wish I could just be more detailed on this thing, because we let it go a little bit as you go. All right, how about, what's the worst bit of advice you ever got? What's the worst advice you ever got?
I remember once I had a supervisor that criticized my writing skills and told me that I think I was in grad school, but they told me my writing was like equivalent to a I don't know if they said high school or junior high. It was just bad.
Right.
Yeah, so it was like, it was a horrible critique, but it actually made me better.
Really?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And here's the last one for you. What never fails to make you feel good or make you smile? When you think about it all the time, you be like, this is my go-to. When you're bad, you're feeling low, and you know what, I can think about this, and it always makes me feel a little bit better.
I think now it's my walks in the park, in the metro parks. Yeah, the metro parks, and the breathing in the air and just looking at the greenery. Sometimes I'm across some water, but after COVID of being like in the house all like that, and then with George Floyd and watching what happened and being a mother, I have a son and daughter. I have 2 daughters and a son, one bonus baby. But just that freedom, because I was at that time pretty not feeling real good, like ready to say, okay, I'm tired of this work and everything.
Right.
And God was like, how dare you want to feel defeated when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they all took bullets for this a different type of cause, but civil rights stuff. So you can't quit. You're going to go on. You're going to be okay. You just have to do some self-care and figure out what works for you. So them walks helped me get through that time, and so I'm still here.
Excellent.
Just for the day.
Excellent. That's all you get, one day at a time, right? So, hey, Anita, I want to thank you for coming on our program. You did a wonderful job. We got through that real quick and get you out here on time. But before we leave, what we like to do, and most programs, this camera right here belongs to you. I'm going to give you an opportunity to look into the camera and tell the people how they can get in touch with NORA again, your website, all that information, and anything you want to leave on the hearts and minds of folks before you get out of here, okay? So that camera belongs to you.
Thank you. I'm Anita Bradley, the president and CEO of the Northern Ohio Recovery Association. I care about you. I care about your family members, and we are here to help you. If you need any help or support as it relates to substance use and mental health or even food, you can give us a call at NORA, 216-391-6672. And our website is www.norainc.org. Again, just here for the community and just grateful to be blessed in the ministry and to be able to serve. And I thank you for having me.